What if I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that the biggest betrayal in hip-hop history actually occurred in a hotel room rather than a studio? No one was supposed to know about Eyes because, just when you thought the story of Remy Ma, Papoose and Fat Joe couldn't get any more complicated, leaked video from a long-forgotten Miami hotel suddenly surfaced, and it doesn't look good for Remy. We're talking about two recognizable people sneaking past the lobby at 2:17 a.m. on dimly lit hallway cameras. And a check-in receipt signed by Joseph Cartagena, often known as Fat Joe, next to Remini's Mackie suggests that the love of fair hip-hop is hidden beneath gold chains and Grammys. But here's the actual twist: the footage didn't originate from a hacker, rather, it came from Papoose himself. Rumor has it that he discovered it while purging old emails from an iPad that Remy claimed was only for music. How long did this affair last? Was it before or during the wedding? Why hasn't anyone discussed this until now? Hold on tight, because what we're about to discover could just alter your perspective on the Terror Squad's history forever. Let's go back in time and see the real story, the parts that didn't make it into interviews and the parts they didn't want us to piece together, rather than the glitzy Grammy speeches or Instagram birthday tributes. As everyone knows, Remy Ma and Fat Joe have a history dating back to their Bronx street fights. The industry referred to them as brother and sister, but behind the scenes, a source close to the crew claims that the sibling bond was always just the PR version of the truth. Additionally, it should be remembered that Remy Ma wasn't just any rapper rising through the ranks. Rather, she was Big Pun's protege, handpicked and blessed by an old security guard who worked backstage. Claimed that Fat Joe, who tragically passed away in 2000, stepped in like a knight in oversized denim, offering studio access, protection, and allegedly something much more personal. Their first real spark was Summer Jam 2002, and from the way he was acting, I assumed they were married. When Lean Back hit the charts in 2004, the industry went crazy, but behind that anthem was tension, not just creative tension, but also jealousy, secrecy, and late-night studio sessions. Furthermore, Remy was secretly dating someone else at the time, but it was undeniable that she was loyal to Joe. Remy and Joe had unquestionable chemistry off the mic, according to several TS Terror Squad insiders, who said that it never ended with just music. One anonymous engineer claimed that on some nights, they would enter the booth and emerge holding hands as if we could see it, but they would always shut it down if someone brought it up, leaving no one able to speak. Find out why, as Fat Joe was the boss and Remy was loyal, ride or die, until things changed. Fast forward to 2007, when Remy Ma was arrested and given an 8-year prison sentence. Everyone expected Papoose to support her, and he did, but the media didn't notice until Fat Joe was visiting Remy outside the courtroom. Gently, there are no pictures or statements, only visits based on Rikers Island visitor logs that were leaked. Yes, we were able to obtain the 5 times Joseph Cartagena signed in between 2008 and 2009, all using coded aliases, and the dates correspond with significant events in Remy's life, particularly the one just before she was moved to Bedford Hills. What exactly was Joe doing at correctional? According to a former prison employee, he was composed but intense, as if he had something to say. Every visit appeared emotional. Meanwhile, Papoose was publicly writing letters and giving interviews, promoting her name as a badge of honor. However, if the jail logs are authentic, they appear to be genuine. In a post-release interview, Remy herself made a mistake when asked who she missed most in prison. Some people surprised me with how much they cared. Fat Joe was the one who conducted those quiet off-the-road visits, so the question now becomes, was there something going on in that prison that even Papoose was unaware of? That's all, no names, just that look, and the host dared not question her further. Years later, while cleaning the house in the spring, Papoose finds an old iPad, the same one Remy used to write lyrics and journal her thoughts when she was first on parole. However, it appears that one file, named 7th Floor, was never erased. According to an anonymous tech expert who examined the metadata, the footage was taken from a hotel hallway camera and shows Fat Joe entering first, followed by Remy Ma seconds later. There is no entourage, makeup crew, or stylists present. It was taken at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach on April 3, 2011. The source close to Papoose claims that he was visibly shaken after viewing the file, but he didn't confront Remy directly just yet. Instead, he reached out to someone he believed could provide him with genuine answers. We'll reveal their name in the next section because, believe me, this rabbit hole is just getting started, and what we're going to unearth next could potentially ruin everything you believed you knew about Remy Ma and Fat Joe. According to reports, when Papoose saw that Miami clip from the 7th floor, the man who had restrained Remy Ma during her trial, jail sentence, and public humiliation reportedly left the room and stared at video of her entering a hotel suite behind Fat Joe, which is more than just heartbreak and betrayal wrapped in silence. But did he blow up? No, that's not Papoose's style. Instead, he throws bars first, asks questions, listens, and then moves purposefully, which is exactly what he did. According to sources, he didn't even bring up the video with Remy at first. He began discreetly phoning people who had previously been in the area, such as tour managers, studio engineers, personal assistants, and then he reached out to her, the one person who supported both Fat Joe and Remy Ma during those pivotal years of the Terror Squad and who has no problem agitating the pod. Remy's former stylist is said to have left the camp and she sang like a bird in 2012 under mysterious circumstances, but what she said, we won't reveal it for safety, was that Joe was obsessed. According to someone who overheard the conversation, it wasn't just music. I could see how protective he became of her, and he used to cancel sessions if she wasn't present. She gave him a sense of relevance again. The twist came when Papoose confronted Fat Joe in private. Yes, that did happen. And Joe didn't deny knowing about the hotel. She even stated that there were rumors of a situation in Puerto Rico where the crew had flown out for a show in 2006. Allegedly, Remy and Joe were spotted on a private yacht long after the rest of the team had returned to the hotel. Didn't even flinch. According to sources, he just answered, "It ain't what you think, Pap, but you don't want to go down that road." Excuse me, but it sounds like he was saying, "Yeah, I buried the body, but trust me, he had it coming." What does that even mean? And what does Papoose do next? Goes into full detective mode and searches through old emails, direct messages, and burner accounts. What he finds is a chilling 2011 email addressed to a private Gmail account using Remy's nickname at the time, which says, "Miami was different, we can't keep playing like this, didn't happen, you know I'd do anything for you, J not signed Joe not signed J," instead of Fat Joe. But guess what? The email header metadata points to an IP address in the Bronx connected to an office studio leased by Terror Squad Entertainment, but they still insist it's not Joe. Meanwhile, the streets begin to talk, not blogs, because you know when Bronx whispers begin. When rumors about the footage surfaced on Twitter due to a since-deleted tweet from someone, fans didn't remain silent. One underground podcast even released a blind item detailing a platinum-selling NYC rapper whose enduring loyalty was put to the test by a queen with too many kings. Gee, who could that be? Reddit fan forums were inundated with screenshots of people claiming to be in the circle, with hashtags like hashtag Joe and Remy and hashtag PapeServesBetter starting to trend. Insiders claim that Papoose moved into the guest house for a while, just to think, while Remy remained silent in public and continued to post selfies from his studio. You can tell it's serious when you see inspirational lines like "Real love stands the test of time, ISO realist," and Fat Joe, not a peep, not even a cryptic IG live. Joe never stops talking, but what transpired next transformed this whole story from messy to historic when a fan discovered an old Terror Squad DVD. During a behind-the-scenes segment in a 2005 interview, Joe sits with Remy and leans in at one point, saying, "I'll ride for her till the wheels fall off, that's my heart." At the time, people believed it to be just brotherly love, but now that everything is so clear, Papoose is a man of dignity who prefers to remain silent, but this time, silence is hurting him more than words ever could. According to a source close to the situation, Papoose contacted an old journalist friend who had previously covered Ray's court case. He didn't ask for a headline. "If I send you something you think the world's ready for it," he asked the press for clarification. That could be the entire video, not just the hotel hallway clip, but what transpired after that, as the first file discovered on that iPad was only part 1. The next file is called Room 714_fold. Prepare yourself, because this is the file that shouldn't exist, and its name raises every red flag you can think of. Imagine Room 714 filled with the same file that allegedly turned Papoose's heart into stone. There was no screaming or yelling, just silence, And when a man like Papoose goes silent, it's because the pain struck deep inside of him. According to the footage begins 4 minutes after Remy and Fat Joe enter the hotel suite. There is no music or party noises, only a faint light from the hallway camera, an unopened room service tray, and voices that are low but clear at first, just mumbles that sound like tension between two people trying not to make a mistake, before the audio begins. The source is very close to the situation, sharpening Joe's voice first. "You realize what this is," and Remy responds. It wasn't meant to go this far, but those 10 words transformed everything because, if there was ever any doubt or gray area, that line made it black and white. It wasn't a coincidence, it wasn't just business, it was something genuine and long hidden. When Papoose allegedly hit pause on the iPad, he got up, left the room, and didn't return for hours. When he did, he didn't say anything, but the world had already started to move because someone, who knows who, had already leaked the information that Papoose had seen the video. 5 simple words were all it took to Joe's team reportedly went into full lockdown mode, issuing takedowns, and the hip-hop media began buzzing about it within a day. Radio hosts hinted at it without naming names, and bloggers danced around the edges, saying things like, a power couple might be in trouble and a legendary Bronx figure might be at the center. In the meantime, Ray's social media changed overnight. The Black Love post stopped, studio updates disappeared, and she deleted her recent story post and replaced it with the words, sorry, no explanation, and no hashtags. Papoose was the final word. Calling platforms were removing clips before they reached 1,000 views. Someone somewhere was quickly repairing the damage. Fans started unearthing old interviews as the dust settled, and one clip from 2005 showed Joe sitting next to Remy, staring at her and saying, "I'll ride for you." The post on his account is still unaltered, with the caption, "Loyalty is only real when it's tested." No tags, no location, and no sign of Remy anywhere on the page. It was sweet at the time, but now that everything has been leaked, that line feels loaded. It didn't end there, though, because a podcast episode from almost 10 years ago reappeared in which a drunk, obese Joe joked, if Remy ever left Papoose she'd come home where she belongs. Everyone in the audience laughed and referred to it as banter, but now that the joke felt more like a confession, no one paid any attention. Then, according to an unnamed producer, the full footage wasn't just on the iPad. Papoose had a copy backed up, and someone else, who remained anonymous, sent that copy to The real story isn't a blog post anymore, it's evolving into streaming content that endures forever, and industry insiders are already freaking out over a private Dropbox link to a well-known documentary house. Yes, a documentary that is reportedly in the works. It's a 4-part working title called Remy and Joe that had reportedly canceled a deal with Remy for a haircare line after another public relations firm disassociated itself from Fat Joe's planned concert tour. Teams are scouring the internet, consulting attorneys, and issuing blanket non-disclosure agreements to anyone even slightly involved, but this wasn't just about business. It was also about legacy. Remy Ma was supposed to be the warrior who defeated the system, the comeback queen, and she stood tall next to her king. Fat Joe was the unwavering Bronx general who helped build and rebuild careers, and Papoose was more than just a rapper, he was an icon of loyalty. He married Remy while she was incarcerated. Their story was a fairy tale in a genre full of heartbreak, but now it's just another cautionary tale. According to reports, Papoose has moved into a new apartment in Midtown and has been spotted at open mic nights with just a notebook and no ring. Remy hasn't made a statement, and Joe hasn't either. The question now isn't just whether it happened, but also how long has everyone known, because if the footage was on an old iPad, if there were emails from more than 10 years ago, or if insiders had been speculating about the Puerto Rico yacht. Insiders claim he's planning a live session soon, and if that happens, the numbers will blow up more than anything else. This is shattering fans' hearts because it wasn't a one-time error, but rather a long-standing secret with a long list of people who helped keep it quiet since 2006. It wasn't just a betrayal of one man, it was a betrayal of every fan who supported what they stood for and every woman who said, "I want to love." The hush that follows when a hotel footage file called Room 714 services is never inadvertent. It's always planned. This is why there are still artists who looked up to Fat Joe as the standard for loyalty and mentorship, as well as those who believed that perhaps they were real. The question that haunts everything we've just discovered: is whether it was ever real, whether Black Love was a front, whether Fat Joe was always more than a mentor, and whether Remy Ma has been leading a double life all along. They are protected, and it's dangerous what happens now, but the world has seen enough to know that this isn't even close to the end of the story, shielded by silence, loyalty, and the myth of family, because when the video leaks, the files are backed up, and the DMs link to the IPs of the terror squad. It's no longer a rumor but a revelation, but the story isn't finished yet. Not even close to Fat Joe has spoken, Ray's apology post disappeared, and Papoose is sitting quietly and loudly on the internet. Can hear it. So now we're going to ask you, do you think this was a one-time error, or have things been building for years? Was Papoose really caught off guard, or did he know all along and decide to protect Ray's reputation? If this does indeed happen, what else is concealed in the footage they haven't yet shown? Share your theories in the comments section by clicking subscribe and enable notifications because, believe me, we have only just begun to explore this rabbit hole. Leak may occur in a few days, so be prepared.